Hello. Welcome to Radio Rahti here on Radio Free Brooklyn. I'm Coach Rahti of Creative Calling Coaching. I'm a professionally certified life coach specializing in helping artists of all mediums who are frustrated in their careers find joy in their work again while creating stability in their lives, giving them the confidence and stamina they need to succeed professionally. And I have a special guest tonight, a fellow coach, a creativity coach. She is Nefelis Sutiriou. Her creative work has been exhibited in Athens, Toronto, Minneapolis, Philadelphia, Rochester, and Buffalo. Her videos, photography, and new media designs for corporate and non-profit organizations have been published in print and online. In her tenure in the field of visual communications, Nefelis taught filmmaking production and various media arts classes at the State University of New York at Buffalo and Temple University. Nefelis works with after-school programs in New York City, designing arts-based learning enrichment activities that are developmentally appropriate for children. And in her private coaching practice, she helps sensitive individuals and artists at heart maximize their potential and reach their goals in the areas of creativity and optimal well-being. Nefelis and I were both students of creativity coaching with Dr. Eric Maisel. Her website address, her URL, is Nefelis Sutiriou, and I'm going to spell it, NEFELISOTERIOU.com. So I'm really intrigued by what you do, especially in terms of bringing joy to the work again, as I mentioned, in terms of how I work with professional artists. So first I want to know your story. I want to know how you ended up being a creativity coach.
Oh, it's a long story, so I'll give you the short
version.
Give
me the Cliff Notes, because I'm fascinated, because nobody wakes up and says, nobody comes out of the womb going, I'm going to be a creativity coach. So it's always an interesting thing when that's how someone evolves. So yes, do the best you can, and if it gets too long, I'll make a rude gesture or something. So go ahead.
So in a nutshell, I'm a storyteller from a very young age, and I always wanted to tell my stories, and I studied photography and film, and I make films, and I tell stories, and then I always had interest in therapy, and I observe people. And so I decided at some point in my career I should just quit being creative and study therapy and just start my private practice until I discovered coaching, which I thought is more appropriate, hands-on, dealing with present issues with creative people. I thought it's more appropriate than, at least for me, for my practice as an artist. And that's why I went into coaching.
I see. So, that is interesting. You said something that caught my attention at one point. You said, I thought I needed to quit art and study therapy. What was that turning point like? And, sorry, I have a dog, guys. There's not a lot I can do about it. Hopefully he'll cooperate. But what was that turning point like?
Well,
you realized you needed a day job.
As a practicing artist, I need my day job. I worked in corporate at the time. Things were difficult for me at the time. And I thought the only solution is to quit corporate and study something that really interests me, because I could see no other way of being at the time. It was just too difficult. And then thankfully I went to a workshop offered by Dr. Eric Maisel at the Omega Institute, and that changed my life and my way of thinking, pretty much.
What do you think it changed, in terms of the way you thought, in terms of your way of thinking? What is the main point that really impacted you in terms of deciding you wanted to become a creativity coach, and the light bulb went off and something about how you were thinking changed? Can you talk about that a little?
I had the personal motivation to continue creating. I did not have the support. When I went to the workshop and I found the support and I saw other artists, other people struggle similarly as with myself, I thought, okay, I can do this and I can help others as well. It's not the end of the world. It's just life can be challenging. Okay, so let's deal. So So that's why I chose not to go into therapy and go into coaching.
And how did his coaching help you in your creative pursuits?
Well, his coaching, during Eric Marisol's coaching,
Yeah.
is very helpful in simply letting you be who you are, letting you, let's say, discover who you are with no pressure, accepting who you are,
Right.
and helping you take the next steps you need to take, and that's about it.
Yes.
Self-acceptance.
Right, because I think there are so many ways artists can beat themselves up. Comparison with other artists and what the culture, the urban mythology, I guess you could say, the mythology around what success for an artist is. It's so easy to lose yourself in that and become paralyzed and depressed. And we know he loves to talk about depression. So you started working with other people to help them mine their creativity. How do you work with a new client?
Well, first things first, we discuss what goal is for them.
Okay.
So when a client comes to me, whether a photographer or an entrepreneur and so on, so they want to find a solution at an issue at hand. So we discuss what they need to work on, and then together, step by step, we build sessions and a commitment. It's a 50-50 exchange.
Right.
If you want.
It's a partnership.
It's a partnership.
It's not a hierarchy. You're not the doctor.
No, I'm not
Right.
a doctor. I don't diagnose.
Right. And not only that, but it's not hierarchical the way a patient-doctor relationship is. It's 50-50. You're equal.
Yeah.
And the pursuit is, you share the pursuit of the success of that client in terms of what they want to achieve. Can you give a specific example of something someone's come to you with that they wanted to deal with?
Yeah, a small business owner. Her personal challenge was that her family did not support her business. Herself felt guilty that she didn't contribute to the family, and she thought I should get a job. But she really loved her business, and her few clients loved her, and she just wanted more moral support, if you will, to continue pursuing her work so she can handle the family dynamics that, willfully or not, prevented her or challenged her endeavors.
Yeah. So this is interesting, and I get this too as a coach. You skirt so closely to therapeutic issues. So how did you deal with this particular issue around her getting needed support in a coaching way?
Yeah, so coaching is not therapy.
Right.
We do not diagnose. So a coach helps the client for the present issue. So a client is responsible to follow up with their coach in related to their creative challenge or in related to their progress, a solution themselves find based on guidance by their coach.
So, yeah, go ahead.
A coach guides the client in finding their own solutions to their problems by being present and helping steer them to their true essence, if you will.
Right, and the thing is, coaching is a pretty new profession.
Yes.
Right, and frankly, people don't want to be coached. They want support from their family, right? People don't want to be coached. They want to become more creatively prolific, right? They have certain things they want. So I understand you're asking the questions that will hopefully ignite something in the client so that they come up with their own solution. Can you, without violating somebody's anonymity, give an example of an intervention? And again, that's a shrink word, really, but an intervention, something that you came up with that client that allowed them to break through in some way or make a change in their life, in the area they wanted.
There are many examples I can draw from. One in particular that I remember had nothing to do with the person being creative and doing their work. It had more to do with their family dynamics and the family relationship, in helping the person come to a better understanding of their relationship with their mother. Of course, I do not expose the past. I do not go, again, coaching is not therapy.
But what do you expose? What did you help her discover?
I listen.
Yeah.
I listen to the problem, and I see how the current relationship with her mother may interfere in her daily practice, for example.
I got it, yeah.
So it may prevent her temporarily from producing her work.
And so what was the solution?
There are techniques in coaching such as reframing, helping the client to be less negative about the challenge they face.
So what did you have to help her how did she reframe?
My mother does not understand me.
Okay.
So my mother does not understand me. My art is not good enough. I'm not good enough. And then one way to go about it, as I remember, I asked the client, but isn't that your mother bought you a sweater last week? Mm-hmm. So she mentioned that her mother gave her a gift. So reminding the client that her mother is not that horrible person, perhaps implying perhaps that she's stressed of it all, but her main goal is to go back to work. Mm-hmm. So from guiding her slowly, using substitution, words, reframing, and then going back slowly to her task, which is her creative work, and continuing producing work, which has more meaning to her. Is that a good example?
Yeah, well, I think, we have different language. Different coaches use different language. And my language, what I think you're saying is you're helping her change her story.
Yeah.
Her story is that her mother's is not supporting her and she can't get her work done. And a different story might be, well, my mother can be very generous and she doesn't necessarily know what it is I'm doing, but it's up to me to really focus and put my attention on what matters and to make this and guard my time. Would that be fair?
That makes sense. Yeah, it's all about
example?
Yeah, it's a good example. It's all about finding. It's all about helping the client find their own meaning and pursue their own goal.
What matters to them?
What matters to them? What's meaningful for them?
That's right. And what's meaningful to her was to do her work, not give. I don't know if it's the same client who came to you because she wanted the support of her family, but what mattered to her was that business.
That's a different client, but
that's fine. We can meld them. Well, we're going to do we can do a composite. It's all the same person. What the hell? But what mattered to her, it sounds like, was building that business.
Correct.
And a lot of the other things, believe me, it's true for all of us. Other things get in the way constantly because life, like you say, it's complicated and messy and challenging.
Life can get in the way. The most important thing I've learned through my own journey, one has to prioritize for themselves first.
Right.
One needs to take care of their needs first. One becomes a happier person when they take care of themselves. Therefore, they can help others and their family and so on, their community and so on.
Right. I'm going to take a quick break just to let everybody who may have just tuned in know what's going on. You're listening to Radio Free Brooklyn. This is Radio Rahti, and it's a show about all things self-developmental in relation to the artist because I'm a life coach who specializes in helping artists of all mediums create stability and confidence and joy in their lives so that they have the stamina and the tools they need to succeed professionally. And I have professionally. And my guest this week is Nefelis Sotiriou, who is a fellow coach, a fellow creativity coach and alumni of Eric Maisel is how you say it. I say Eric Maisel. Who knows how he says his name? But I'm going to have his information on the website and Nefelis' information on the website. And you can get in touch with both of them, because frankly, I'm a big believer in fit. And do you find sometimes when you're working with a client, you realize this is not my client?
Yeah, so so for that, it's a mutual, it's a two-way street. So I offer the discovery phase at the beginning, which is a free consultation.
Right.
It's the most appropriate thing to do. And so it's important. So the client discovers who you are your energies aligned? Right. Can you work together? So I think it's very important.
Yeah, I agree. And so in your private practice, can you tell me do you have some favorite clients, the favorite type of clients?
Well, my favorite clients are children.
Interesting.
I design enrichment activities through film and media arts for children. I work with 2 public schools here in Brooklyn. And my favorite clients are children because not only I believe in children, I believe they need mentors, supporters at this developmental stage. I think it's very important to help, if possible, to just be near them. They're so enthusiastic, energetic, passionate about learning. So these are my favorite clients.
So yeah, they're just little bundles of libido. They're all about joy, and I think we lose that as we become adults sometimes, and that's very counter-creative in a way.
Sometimes children feel things intensely too,
of course.
and sometimes they need guidance to find themselves or to build on their strengths and so on, to have better relationships at school and at home. So I find it immensely rewarding to help children find their way.
And that's what you do, basically. That is at the moment. That is the core of your practice, and you're working, you're doing it.
I'm doing it
in New York City, which is impressive. Anyway, but you want to work with adults. I mean, you could just work with kids, couldn't you?
I could work with anyone that we're a match with, children or adults. Yeah.
But you want to work with adults.
I work with adults now too.
I know you do. So I'm just curious because I know we all, I mean, people specialize. People are better at coaching some people than others. Children are your favorite clients, but you also, I'm just saying, when you work with an adult, what kind of, because you could just work with children if you decided to.
Yeah.
What is it about working with adults? What kind of adult do you like to work with?
My ideal client.
Yes, there we go. What's your ideal client?
My ideal client is someone committed to their work, committed to themselves, first of all. They're committed to themselves and to their goal. Primarily is a creative goal. They need my guidance to establish new habits that are important to their optimal well-being. So these habits are choices they make towards a better life for themselves.
And what makes somebody coachable for you?
Willingness to take the path, and the path is not easy. Changing habits is not easy.
No, it's not.
So willingness to go along the way and do it.
And so does willingness sometimes take the form of doing something even if they think you're full of shit? I mean, does giving you the benefit of the doubt, as it were? What does willingness look like?
I think willingness has to do with committing to oneself. If one is committed to themselves and the change they want to see, then they become willing.
Right.
With encouragement, of course, and support from their coach or any other support they can receive.
They're willing to trust you. It sounds like there's a risk they're willing to risk trusting an expert because they are so committed to their own evolution.
But trust builds over time.
Yeah, that's true too. But it has to, initially, everybody's a little risk averse. So actually, when you have a client who's willing and laying it all out for you, I'm often blown away by the trust people put in us instantaneously. Haven't you noticed that?
It's important.
It is important.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important. Yeah. You're right.
People just tell you stuff, right? They just get right to it if they're really,
I'm going to point out what you mentioned before. Coaching is a new profession. There are many people out there that they can sell their services. I think accreditation is important. There are specific institutions. You're a certified coach. I'm finishing up shortly my certification from creativity coaching.
Right.
I also have a master's and taught in academia. So I have a master's in film and media arts. So experts do not just happen. There is some background and depth that I believe a client can recognize by interviewing their prospective coach. And I think that can happen early on in the discovery phase.
Well, I think you're right, absolutely, because a client may have a free consultation with someone and not feel taken care of, not feel that expertise, or it's not translating for some reason for them. But I think also, you make a good point, it does matter. Coaching is not regulated yet, we know, and it does matter that people have had some training. Because the fact is, nobody's going to pay you and sit back and fold their arms. Unless they're bats,
Yeah.
So, I get concerned sometimes that people are very quick to trust people who don't necessarily have a solid skill set. So, I guess I'm just saying to folks, if you're going to work with a coach, it's a good idea to talk to a few of them. Right.
Oh, definitely interview.
And interview them and find out where they've studied, what their background is, who they like to coach and who they specialize in. Because I think when you say that you coach people you resonate with because of your own life experience, would you say?
I think that would be ideal as well. Yeah, I think so.
Right? Are you, how you could probably coach an astrophysicist, right? You could probably coach someone, who was doing something totally non-artistic, I would think. Right?
We agree.
However...
Well, the difference here is that because I'm so immersed in my passion for making art and I have a certain lifestyle already established, it would be second nature to me to help others that they're facing similar challenges as I used to face or I currently go through. Yes. So it would be second nature.
Right. So it's good to, depending on what you want and who you are, look into who your coach is, right?
Yeah.
I think. So the creativity coaching, so what is it now? It's the Creativity Coaching Association, is that right?
Yeah, the Creativity Coaching Association is based here in Lake George, New York.
Uh-huh.
The president is Beverly Dawn.
Uh-huh.
And has members and certified coaches around the world. And there is a website for that.com, creativitycoachingassociation.com, something like that.
Well, we have a few minutes, so I just want to ask you, in terms of becoming a certified creativity coach, can you give me 3 things that you learned to be really proficient at?
The relationship with the client is key.
Uh-huh.
We go through extensive training in learning how to be and talk with clients. Mm-hmm. And we're trained by psychotherapists.
Mm-hmm.
So I find the training invaluable. So that's one.
Yeah.
We also learn, we're trained by Dr. Eric Meitzel.
Yes, who happens to be a therapist, right? He started out as a therapist.
Yes, and that's an addition right there.
Mm-hmm.
And the third benefit is how to make our own agreement, our contract agreement, basic administrative skills in running your own business. Not only marketing, but administrative skills that are important for any coach,
right,
to know what is your ethic code, what is your agreement with the client, what are you presenting to the client, and why. So that's important, I think, the business aspect of it.
Right. Well, this has been a lovely conversation. Can you tell me what you're working on? Because you're also an artist, as you said, and a filmmaker. Is there something you want to talk about that you're working on right now?
Well, really briefly. So I started writing a film in 2012.
Yeah.
I started filming it in 2014, and now I'm in post-production. And hopefully it will be my longest production so far, and hoping for a feature length. So we'll see.
You're walking your talk.
Yes.
That's what it's about. There is a certain degree of modeling that goes on, I think, as coaches. So thank you. I want to thank my wonderful guest, Nefelis Suteriu. I love saying it. And she is a creativity coach. I will have her website up on the site because I'm not going to spell it again. If you liked what you're listening to, please tell your friends. You can like this show on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter at Radio Rahti. That's the ampersand, Radio Rahti. And Rahti is spelled Rahti. Thanks for listening to Radio Free Brooklyn, and we'll see you next week.